Welcome everyone to episode number 6 of the Prostate Cancer Patient Empowerment Program, PC-PEP podcast. In this powerful episode, I speak with David Ashcroft, a gay man living on an island near Chester, Nova Scotia, here in Canada, who shares his deeply personal journey through prostate cancer, from the shock and isolation of the diagnosis to connection, knowledge, and empowerment. How did he get there? Well, when David was diagnosed, he was living in a remote area with no access to support and very little information about what lay ahead. Facing fear, depression, and uncertainty, it was a chance encounter with a PC-PEP poster that changed everything. David takes us through the emotional toll of diagnosis and waiting for surgery, the mental challenges and stigma men, especially gay men, face when navigating cancer care, the transformative power of finding PC-PEP and helping establish a safe, open, and affirming space for gay men in the program, the importance of knowledge, community, and patient leadership in survivorship. This episode is really a call to action to ensure that all men, regardless of sexual orientation, geography, or background, have access to programs that sees them, supports them, and empower them. Please listen, share, and help us spread the word. No one should face prostate cancer alone. Together, we're not just facing prostate cancer, we're transforming how we live beyond it. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. This is episode number 6 of our podcast series, the Prostate Cancer Patient Empowerment Series. I'm here with David, close friend now, and also participant in the Prostate Cancer Patient Empowerment Program. David, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be here.
It's great. It's great to have you. So where shall we start? Let's start maybe with when you got diagnosed. What was happening in your life at that time?
My partner and I had moved to Nova Scotia for an adventure, and we were lucky enough to have found a doctor. And eventually, the 7th year we were here, my PSA had gone up another half a point and hit 10. My GP wasn't concerned about that because there was no spike. But I went on the Canadian Cancer Society site, and it said that 1 in 3 men with a PSA of 10 likely has cancer. So I asked for a biopsy, and much to my horror, 9 of the 12 samples came back indicating cancer cells. And so suddenly you've got cancer, and all of my horrible memories of all of friends and family who died of cancer came rushing back, and it just felt like the bottom had dropped out of my world. And I was absolutely gobsmacked by the whole thing.
How long did it take you before you found someone that had a prostate cancer diagnosis that could tell you at least a little bit about it?
Well, I had had 2 friends that had had prostate cancer. One went through several years of horrible treatment, and he is currently alive, and the other one died from it. So I didn't have a lot of positive things in my mind when it came to this disease. And I was just absolutely horrified. And of course, unfortunately, I'm prone to depression. So that whole stress of the thing triggered another depression, and my medication had to be doubled, and it wasn't working very well. And then it's the wait until
The wait. We wait and we worry and we wait and we worry.
Yeah. And I know I was referred to a urologist, and very nice man. And he said to me, he looked at the results and he recommended I see one of his colleagues who was both a urologist and an oncologist. Fine with me. But of course, when you walk out the door, the first thing you're thinking is, oh my God, is my cancer so bad he didn't want to treat me? You know, those negative things come in. Yeah. Anyway, it turns out for the best. The urologist oncologist was fabulous, and he met with me, and we came up with a program. First of all, surgery, and I had to wait 5 months. And that was brutal. It was the waiting with no information because I hadn't found PC-PEP then.
Right, right. So the two of you, were you living on the island?
Yes, we lived on the way out there on the out in the islands, nobody to talk to, nobody that could give me any information. And it wasn't until I stumbled on a poster on the wall in the hospital that I saw PC-PEP. I had never heard of it. Yeah. And it was through that poster I contacted the organization and I came into Halifax. And I think it was early on because there were two groups. There was the group that did pre-surgery, and then the other group that did post-surgery. And of course, I was in the post-surgery. I was the post-surgery group. So I really didn't get much information right away.
6 months you were treated, and then you got PC-PEP.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And
I want to tell you something. I don't think I want to do another trial like that where we have to, you randomize people. The ones that we had to randomize to the post, David, I want to tell you, both Rob and I were horrified. We were horrified. My staff was horrified. We were like, no, can we change the randomization? Of course you can't change the randomization.
of course you can't. Of course you can't.
And so
When I got involved with
I'm
PC-PEP,
so sorry.
oh, that's okay. When I got involved, of course, there was the fabulous daily emails with all the components. And then there was the monthly Zoom. And I was assigned 2 phone buddies.
Yes.
And suddenly I was connected. There was support. And surprise, surprise, there were a lot of people out there with prostate cancer. And a lot of the people you met in the monthly Zooms have had very successful treatments. And suddenly, the horror, the hope came flooding in. And that's huge. That's huge. Yeah. Now, the only thing I wish, again, if I had been involved with PC-PEP ahead of time, I might have thought of more options in terms of my treatment. And because I didn't have that, and my first reaction was, I want this cancer gone, get it out of me. I immediately went for, chose surgery. And the side effects of the surgery, I have found very, very difficult being a gay man. And I assume all men find it difficult. And, would I have chosen another one? I don't know. It would have depended on, what were the options and what were the predicted results of those options. I might have gone for exactly the same thing, but I wish I had known and could have made an informed decision rather than a panic decision.
You coming into the program, it allowed us to create a group for gay men, to open the conversation even more, to make it, to normalize everything and any discussion related to prostate cancer in the group, and empower people and tell people it's okay. We can talk about everything with no judgment, with only one sole thing in mind, is how can we see each other's interests as one's own, and how can we support one another?
And I have found the gay men's group fabulous. Like, we have our own little pre-Zoom, and like, as you say, there is no topic that is taboo, and the guys have been extremely open about their struggles, their frustrations, their successes, their wish list, and it's been amazing. And then you flip after that group, we flip into the big group and have the information session, and the amount of knowledge that I have absorbed in that monthly Zoom has been fabulous, because I came from a situation where I knew nothing about prostate cancer. I didn't know about body inflammation and triggers and anti-inflammatories and all of these things, plus the variety of treatments. If I had known that during the 5-month waiting period, it would have been even better. because as we've said in the group, knowledge is power, and it's having that knowledge and knowing that you have choices, that it's your journey and you can take the journey the way you want to take it, instead of somebody just saying, you're going in, we're doing this, we're doing that. And I just find it fabulous.
We call you all research citizens, and many of you have taken leadership roles. I mean, it is at your suggestion that, so just for context, for people watching the podcast, once a month we have live Zoom conferences, and we update the science that is related to the various components of the program. And we also engage, we have breakout rooms, we have very specific questions that we talk about, first in small groups, then in the larger group. And it was at the suggestion of the patients and the research citizens that said, you know what, rural men, for example, they said, we have very specific needs. And that, there are some things we don't have access to, we want to meet before. And then, the gay group said the same, the black African Americans said the same. And now we're having an indigenous group also separate. They said, we would like to have an hour meeting before the actual monthly video conference to connect with one another. And that was fabulous, because we are now in a position where not only are we supporting one another, but we're thinking, can we actually help other people?
Mm-hmm. You can.
Yeah.
You can.
How can we get the word out? And you guys have taken an active role. I mean, you, Matt, Ilie, you letting people know. If you are connected with a Facebook group for gay men, you let them know. Guys, do you know about prostate cancer? You need to get screened. If you're 40,
Exactly.
if you have a history of anyone in your family with prostate cancer diagnosis, you must get tested. All it takes is a click on your referral blood test form in your annual checkup. That's as simple as that.
And the very fact, like, for example, in the Zoom meetings, I learned that not everybody's prostate cancer causes a spike in PSA. Mine didn't spike. So, men need to know that if their PSA goes up 10 or more, insist on a biopsy, because you might have it. Now, I know some men have prostate cancer with lower PSAs, but, well, again, knowledge is power. And you have to be your own advocate in this day and age. Nobody, doctors are so busy that, oh, well, your PSA is 10, that we'll watch it again next year. Well, next year, what if my PSA had gone to 15? Would that spike have been an indication that my cancer was much less treatable? I'm just so glad we dealt with it, because the early intervention in cancer has always proven better results than delay. And I would have been awful if the urologist had said, let's put you on a watch list and just watch for the next couple of years. When I knew I had cancer in there, I wanted it gone, so.
Yeah, it's also the power of communication. One of the things that I like about, so we have those monthly video conferences, but we let you guide us. So if there is a new topic, like you said, knowledge is power. What a wonderful way to communicate and converse and say, Gabriela, Rob, there's this new topic, or there's this talk about, say, for example, cannabis, and its use in perhaps helping with mental distress. How truthful is that? Is there an interaction between, prostate cancer recurrence, perhaps in cannabis, or alcohol use? And can we talk about that? And we will run to the literature, do a review, and come prepared to the next monthly video conference.
And it's great, because that's what we need to know. Like, the whole journey is difficult as it is, but the program shows you so much. It shows you healthy eating, healthy exercise, meditation, all the things you can do to reduce inflammation. And by the monthly update and bringing that new information, it gives us more and more options. It allows us to make choices and be responsible for our healthcare. And I find, like, for example, the monthly meetings, somebody will come on, somebody new, and they'll say, I'm waiting for surgery, or I'm waiting to have radiation. And I just send them a little private message and say, I've had surgery. If you have any questions you want to ask, I'm available. Here's my number. Or I've had 33 radiations. If you're concerned about radiations and you want to get rid of half of the stress, because if you know what's going to happen, I had no idea. I'm walking into radiation. What are they going to do to me? And, you know, I've had a friend now, I've met him and his wife, and he is just starting radiation. And I gave him a preview of what to expect and little things to be aware of so that they don't kind of worry you unnecessarily. Little things and how to make it easier. How to make it easier. Yeah.
So important to know. A lot of the stress that comes from the unknown.
Oh, exactly.
Read, there is no information, then the information that you read sometimes is not palatable.
Actually, I found the radiation process and the people at the hospital doing it were just fabulous. And they try to make it so easy for you. And there was of course, I tend to use humor, and it went really, really well. And I had some crazy incidences that I won't talk about on screen, but and even the people in the waiting room, we were all in the same boat. Everybody in that waiting room was either going in for radiation or they were a relative of the person sitting there. And we would support each other, encourage each other, and it was great. And PC-PEP in terms of encouragement and support is fabulous because, some of us even now get together, like my phone buddy, Alan and Janet, we've become really good friends. So we get together. And then this couple that I've just met that are rural and feel kind of out there with no support, met them twice for coffee, and they're going to come out and meet Alan and Janet. So we're just trying to connect people so that nobody feels they're doing this on their own.
Yeah, we are in such a lovely, good place right now where we can reach out to communities. We can think creatively. We just got a grant from Movember looking at health inequality. And we're hoping to develop some ways to raise awareness, to just let people know this program exists. This is one of the biggest hurdles that we had. And it's terrible to say, but I have to say it, is we're trying to reach out to organizations whose whole mission is to let people know what programs are there to help. And they play God. They say, well, I don't think we're going to let them know about your program. Why? Well, we don't think it's actually good for them. We have something else so that's playing God to me, because as a patient, you have the right to know.
And I've gotten those information sheets and I've taken them to doctors' offices. Oh, well, you can put it up on the bulletin board, but PC-PEP needs more than a post on a bulletin board. It needs the medical profession to recognize it as valid and important and a huge bonus for their patients. So, no, don't just put it on the bulletin board. If you get somebody that has positive for prostate cancer, tell them about PC-PEP and encourage them to connect. And if it's not for them, fine.
Perfect.
But let them make the
decision.
decision.
Prostate Cancer Patient Empowerment Program. It's a great help. Look at this.
And I now wear that.
PSA tested this year.
When I go shopping once a week, that's my shopping shirt. Because
I love this.
people, when they see that, will ask you a question. They're not like total stranger buying apples in Save a Center are not going to ask you a question about prostate cancer until they see the t-shirt. And that gives them an opening. Oh, have you had prostate cancer? Oh, do you know something about prostate cancer? And bingo. It's the same sort of thing when you're
To walk, we go walking wherever we can.
It's same idea as when you take your dog for a walk. People talk to you because they like dogs. When you wear a t-shirt, they know that's an opening and they're comfortable making a comment.
That's the thing, David. We don't have to suffer alone. We don't have to go alone with this.
And there's no shame in it. But like with men, I don't know what it is about men in healthcare. Like I know so many men that never have an annual physical. They just don't do it. And, they get symptoms of something and they ignore it. And if it has anything to do with the genitals, no, they're not going to talk about it. And that's a shame because, there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's a disease. You aren't responsible for it, but let's get it dealt with.
Yeah, and there are ways to deal with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's support. We can all talk. We can adapt. We can adapt. We've been through difficult situations. You've been through difficult situations before.
And your life's not over. When I had no support, it was horrific because your mind goes crazy. You think, oh my God, should I be doing my will? And of course, once you find out, chances are you don't need to do your will right away because you got prostate cancer. But all of those horrible thoughts come in and they have a tendency to take over. And with PC-PEP, you find out it's not all doom and gloom. You're going to meet some fabulous people. You're going to have some really interesting experiences. And, you're going to feel supported. You're going to feel cared for and cared about.
And you're going to learn all sorts of things. For example, the difference between food and chemicals. Something as simple as that. Unfortunately, after the Industrial Revolution, we've ended up with a lot of chemicals that are poured in our foods to prolong their life shell, right? To make sure that they smell a certain way, that the color is of a certain way. And with that, our bodies were never meant to process all that stuff. So just becoming educated, not becoming paranoia. No, but just becoming educated and saying, you know what? Let me pick up the fresh peppers rather than the grilled hamburger. Leave the soda, pick up the water with lemon, or there are healthy swaps to be made
and that are easy.
And again, the program is multifaceted. Pick what works for you. Leave the rest. Leave the rest.
One of the things I know this, maybe it just shows my shallowness, but learning about Kegel muscles was huge for me because with the prostate being a man's on and off switch to urination, I was thinking, oh no, pads or diapers or heaven knows what. And watching these videos and practicing what they showed me, in no time flat, I was in control again. And that was huge. Like I didn't want to get caught on the ferry riding out to the island with a big wet spot, but it could have happened. But I have good Kegel muscles now, and you can practice those without anybody even knowing it.
That's right.
I practice at the stoplights when I'm in my car. Nobody knows. And it strengthens things, and then I don't leak, which is great. Yeah.
Knowledge is power. Indeed.
For sure.
Yes. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. Is there anything in your mind that you think we should cover?
That was the idea. If I'd had the knowledge ahead of time, I might have made different choices in terms of my treatment. And, I just think if anybody, gay, straight, whatever, if you are a man or you love a man that has gotten a positive diagnosis for prostate cancer, encourage them to connect with PC-PEP and be as involved as they feel comfortable being. And it is wonderful for them.
Yes. To all gay men listening to this podcast or non-gay men, please give it a try. We are here to support you. And you can also give back in the sense that, look, we're having those creative conversations as to how can we make men aware that are sitting out there and worrying some more and waiting alone, know that this program exists, that can make a difference.
Huge.
There are things that they can do right now to take their power back. There's a science and methodology to empowerment, and that's what we want to do. We want to reactivate the role of the patients in their own care, give them a sense of control, a sense of hope, and very practical tools that they can employ right now that can make a difference and feel that they're supported.
And I'm thinking, not too long ago, there was that Zoom, and it had to do about hormone therapy and the effects of hormone therapy. And one of my buddies is on hormone therapy right now. And we have seen such a change in him, and he has had some cardiovascular issues. And, he didn't know about the effects of hormone therapy. And we need to know that, because we need to take that information back to our GPs and say, there's a statistic probability that there may be some cardiovascular issues if I'm on hormone therapy for a certain period of time. Could you make sure that in my next physical, we are checking for those things to prevent something from developing? And, huge.
For more information, PC-PEP.org. We're here for you, and David is here for you. Come and meet David.
You can't go wrong.
Beautiful. Monkey video conferences. Take care and get PEP.
Bye-bye.
And this concludes episode number 6 of our program. For more information and to enroll in our free prostate cancer patient empowerment program, please visit PC-PEP.org. For all other forms of cancer, please visit cancerpep.com. Thank you for listening. Until next time, be well and take care of yourselves.